Soil microbe. Secret skyrockets. Your harvests 3 times faster. Botanical bliss. Hack. You'll wish you knew sooner. If you've ever wondered why some gardeners pull basket after basket of produce while others barely get a trickle, the answer usually isn't in the fertilizer bag. The real difference lies beneath your feet. The secret isn't more compost, it isn't more water, and it certainly isn't chemical fertilizers. It's soil microbes. These microscopic powerhouses are the invisible workforce that turns ordinary soil into a living, breathing system capable of producing harvests 3 times faster than you thought possible. Once you understand how to support them, you'll never go back to gardening the old way. Soil microbes are the engines of plant growth. When we talk about soil microbes, we're talking about bacteria, fungi, protozoa, and even tiny nematodes that make up what's called the soil food web. They're the engines that drive nutrient cycling, pulling locked-up minerals from soil particles and making them available to plant roots. Without microbes, your plants are basically starving, even if your soil is technically full of nutrients. Think of microbes as the translators. Without them, the nutrients are there, but your plants can't understand or use them. This is why 2 gardens with the same compost can yield wildly different results. One has an active microbial population, the other doesn't. The secret is not adding nutrients, but unlocking them. For years, I thought the best way to boost production was to keep adding organic matter, compost, manure, bone meal. And yes, those things help, but they don't automatically translate into faster growth. What really changes the game is when microbes break those inputs down and feed your plants directly. They produce enzymes that release phosphorus, nitrogen, and potassium in forms that roots can absorb instantly. They even create natural growth hormones that stimulate root development, which means plants establish faster, grow deeper, and fruit earlier. This is the 3 times faster secret. Your plants aren't waiting around for raw materials to break down. Microbes have already done the work. Feeding the soil life is easier than most people think. Here's the beauty of it. You don't have to buy some fancy bottled inoculant to support microbes. They're already present in your soil, waiting to multiply. What they need is food and protection. In practical terms, that means 2 simple actions in fall. First, avoid leaving bare soil. Exposed soil gets hammered by rain, sun, and wind, which kills off microbial populations. Instead, mulch with shredded leaves, straw, or even old crop residue. Second, give them a steady diet of organic inputs. Kitchen scraps, green plant matter, and even a sprinkling of compost tea poured into the soil feed microbes the way compost feeds plants. Keep them thriving through fall and winter, and they'll reward you with explosive growth when spring planting begins. Fungal networks are the real underground internet. Among soil microbes, fungi deserve special mention. Mycorrhizal fungi form partnerships with plant roots, extending far beyond what roots could reach alone. These fungal threads act like internet cables underground, transferring water and nutrients between plants. They even allow plants to, communicate chemical signals that trigger defense responses against pests. When you encourage these fungal networks by minimizing tillage and keeping soil covered, your plants suddenly have access to a whole underground support system. Crops germinate faster, resist stress better, and honestly, yield more abundantly. So, here are some practical ways to supercharge microbial activity right now. Honestly, one of the fastest ways I've found to activate soil microbes is by brewing a simple compost tea. All you need to do is take a handful of mature compost, steep it in water for about 24 to 48 hours with a little molasses for food, and then just drench your beds with it. This instantly boosts microbial populations and, gives them the energy they need to multiply. Another easy practice is layering green and brown materials directly into your beds in the fall. As these materials break down in place, microbes stay active all winter long. By the time spring rolls around, your soil has already been transformed into a living microbial powerhouse. The harvest results really prove the method works. When I started focusing on microbes instead of just inputs, the difference was immediate. My spring greens went from barely producing to being ready for harvest weeks earlier than usual. And, tomatoes set flowers faster and ripened ahead of schedule. Even stubborn root crops like carrots grew straighter and filled out more evenly. It wasn't just about yield, it was about speed and resilience. My garden became less dependent on constant fertilizer applications because the microbes were working around the clock to unlock everything my soil already contained. So if you've been stuck wondering why your plants aren't growing as fast or producing as much as you'd like, stop thinking about what you're adding and start thinking about what you're supporting. Soil microbes are the hidden workforce that can skyrocket your harvests 3 times faster than you've ever managed before. If you found this helpful, make sure to subscribe to Botanical Bliss for more soil-smart strategies that truly change how your garden grows. And share this video with a fellow gardener, because once you unlock the microbe secret, you'll wish you had known it sooner.